Dr. Daniel Sedo has joined growing opposition to a deal to sell off some SSNIT hotels to the Agric Minister Brian Champon's Rock City Hotel. Organized labor have been up in arms against the deal, demanding an urgent meeting with President Akufo-Addo following publication by the Northton MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa that brought the transaction to light. Dr. Sedo says the transaction is bad and does not inure to the benefit of workers in whose interest SSNIT should be working.
The question is, if they sell 60% and receive that money, what would they use it for? Is it to pay pensioners or to generate another investment? And that investment where? These are landed properties. How many? The land is reducing in Ghana. The locations are not as prime as these very ones. So I don't see how you can sell 60%, raise money, and say you are going to invest it elsewhere. In what? Treasury bills? I think that we need a second look at this whole transaction to make it profitable and beneficial for contributors.
And in having a second look at the transaction, are you suggesting we stop it now and start the process all over again?
We should look at the bigger issue of reforming SSNIT. That's the truth of the matter. The bigger issue. Because people sit in there and make decisions. And if the decisions cannot be right, then we need to look at the bigger issue. The reform is critical so that it can serve the purpose of a social scheme. This transaction wouldn't help pensioners, wouldn't help contributors. These properties, the values would appreciate going to the future. You don't sell something that would appreciate. You don't sell, really, if there's hotel business, why would you sell? If there's a business that you can run and make profit, why would you be eager to sell? So that what? I thought at the end of the day, you are looking for appreciation. Properties do appreciate. If the hotel is managed properly, you will get the interest or dividend that you are looking for. Why would you be in a hurry to sell? And in any case, you are running a pension scheme. End of month, you are required to pay your pension contribution, isn't it? So the cash flow is there. So why the rush? What is chasing somebody? Is there a lot more we don't know? Is it that there are difficulties with cash flow? That is why we are selling 60% to raise money to discharge our current liabilities? For me, those are the questions we should be asking. What is it? What is it that is eating us up that we are in a hurry to sell 60%?
Now, the cash flow questions that you ask, I mean, these are the 60% we're talking about. It's going to be, I mean, it's going to be sold for some $61 million. That's what we are learning. $61 million translates today into some, just about 1 billion Ghana cedis thereabout, less than that even. Now, SSNIT says it pays between 430 to 450 million cedis monthly as this thing to pensioners. The last time they addressed the press, they said they don't have cash flow issues. So if they don't have cash flow issues, why the hurry in selling off these assets?
But that's exactly the question I'm asking. If really, genuinely, they don't have cash flow issues, then they should take their time. They should look for people with skill sets that can help turn those assets into earning assets, make the money, and have funds to pay pensioners.
Well, in the latest twist, anti-corruption group Citizens Coalition has backed Northton MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa petition to Shraj to conduct a thorough investigation into the purchase of the 60% stake of SSNIT owned hotels by the Food and Agricultural Minister and owner of Rock City Hotel, Brian Champon. The group says it suspects a conflict of interest in the deal due to Brian Champon's position as a Minister of State buying state properties. Listen to a leading member of the group, Dr. Kojo Asante.
First of all, to note that this matter has been referred to SRAJ because there is apparent conflict of interest issues. If you have a city minister or public officer of any who is basically whose business is involved with the state in any kinds of transactions, it already raises an apparent conflict of interest that has to be cured. Now, because we don't know the information that has been provided or yet to be provided, it's very difficult to assess whether that conflict of interest has been cured or not. So, and then we have also been interested in the decision itself to sell the hotels, because one of the hotels, everybody knows that Labadi Beach Hotel is a profitable, well-run. So if SSNIT is already benefiting from it, why is SSNIT deciding that it wants to divest 60% of its interest in Labadi Beach Hotel? And to what effect? What is the plan? If they get the money, what are they going to use it for? And I think pensioners in Ghana have to be interested in these kinds of investments. So there's the issue that you have a state official, a high-ranking one, even if he was not a government official, he's a leading member of the ruling party. That already makes him a politically exposed person. So all of those things create conflict of interest matters. Now I want to understand that was fairness applied during this period? Would other Ghanaians, also get a fair opportunity, to do this? So we want to really get the information. So statement to the effect that, all the due processes were followed and all of that stuff, it's not enough. Now, we'll see what SRAD does. But I think SSNIT can help us all by providing as much information on the transaction as possible.
Right, so we are joined by a member of the Citizens Coalition in the studio. But before that, though, there's more. We are learning about the transaction, including a new push for a law to ban government officials from buying state properties. My colleague, Kweku Asante, joins me with details. Kweku, good afternoon. So I understand this is a private member's motion that is being developed?
Well, yes, Okudzuta Blakwa, who has been making these allegations against the SSNIT, and the Agric Minister says he's already in the works. He's processing documents to go through the clerk to Parliament to publish him before the House. That will strictly bar politicians and other politically exposed persons ever having access to buying government or state property. Says that action must stop. We recall that Okudzuta Blakwa some years back took Mr. Owiche to court. He's also been on this. And so he said that private members' bill is so crucial to stop public office holders, politicians, politically exposed persons from buying SSNIT or other state properties. He says it is unconscionable that persons who have so much information and insider knowledge will still purport to be the ones to buy these assets, and that is unconstitutional, it's unlawful. He wants to bring a law before Parliament when, if passed, that will clearly delineate the borders. That's already, the Constitution deals with some of these conflicts of interest issues, but It doesn't think it's enough. And that is why that law is necessary.
And so this is yet to start. Is that the case? This proposed private member's motion is yet to formalize it in the House.
Can you say that again?
Yes, I was asking, this private member's motion that he is seeking to bring to the attention of the House is yet to begin the process.
Yes, we understand that he is still now trying to work with the Office of the Clerk of Parliament to try and draft this and put that before the House when the House resumes in the next 2 or 3 weeks. He believes that is of an urgent nature. But given how short the process may be, if it does not start the process in time, it will not see the light of day, because it has to go through the clerk's office, it has to go through several readings in Parliament, and if it does not speed up the process and get it in Parliament as soon as this meeting starts, that bill may not see the light of day. But he says he's committed to sponsoring that private member's bill.
And you are in Parliament. I understand that the minority is about holding a news conference. Is it related to this matter?
Not at all. In fact, the minority leader is still speaking. They are doubling down on the allegations that government is recruiting illegally into the police force. We know that allegation has been debunked by the Interior Minister himself. It has also been fought by the majority leadership who have provided, or the minority leadership to provide some evidence. The minority are doubling down on that allegation. But today we are expecting evidence. We are expecting that they will provide more to back the claims that government is illegally recruiting persons into the security forces other than just the mere allegations. But that is the focus of the Minority Leaders Presser today. Thank
you very much, Kwaku. So we'll come back to you on this subject as well when they are done with the news conference. Kwaku Asante is a parliamentary correspondent. Now, let's come to the studio because this afternoon, the coalition, the Citizens Coalition, also added their voice to this raging controversy about SSNIT decision to sell off 4 of their hotels, 60% stake of these hotels to the Greek minister. The SSNIT statement that came earlier indicated that Rock City Hotel had the best, the bid, if you like, and that's the reason why they are dealing with them. But no agreement as of now has been reached. SSNIT is my guest in the studio. Mr. SSNIT, good afternoon, welcome. Good afternoon, thank you. Right, so we'll take a short break and when we'll come back, we'll start the discussion. Stay right there. We are back and we can start a discussion now. SSNIT is a member of the Citizens Coalition. He is into anti-corruption and he joins me here in the studio. Mr. SSNIT, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
So you had 2 issues today, the SSNIT matter and the OSP.
Oh, we had more than that.
Okay.
We had about 7 issues.
7 issues on corruption.
7 different issues.
Just like raining corruption, news conference.
Plenty of issues to tackle.
Okay, so we'll come to all of them one after the other. But let's start with SSNIT. I mean, what wrong has the Greek minister done? What wrong has he done?
Well, the Constitution is very clear that public officers ought not to put themselves into positions of potential conflict of interest. Potential means that you should be able to envisage that this may have the appearance of a conflict of interest, especially because you have a position that allows you to have access to more information or more influence, and therefore you have an undue advantage in a particular competitive process.
Right.
And so it is to that extent that if you're a public officer, there are certain things that you're not supposed to participate in. This clearly is a situation where, as far as the documentation is available, that shows that he is the director and the beneficial owner for Rock City.
Right.
What it means, therefore, is that his company should not have been shortlisted to be part of this process.
Why?
Because then it puts him in a direct conflict of interest situation because you are competing with others who don't have the level of influence that you have. And so conflict of interest issues are very important. So he should not have been shortlisted.
Yesterday, he responded to this angle of this conversation and said that even though he's a director, he's not involved in the day-to-day administration.
It's neither here nor there.
Neither was he involved in the bidding process. He doesn't take salary or other emolument from the hotel. The hotel is left in the hands of people he's employed to do the work for him.
Unfortunately, the conflict of interest principles don't work like that. What he should have done was to divest his interest so that the records would not show his name there. Or else he should have sought permission as per what the rules of engagement are in Parliament, etc. And then perhaps that kind of permission would have been granted. But as it is, once you're a director, the issue of functional or non-functional, executive or non-executive is purely an operational thing. It has nothing to do with the law. And so if you decide that you are not functional, nobody cares about that. As long as on paper we can see that you are the beneficiary, it means that interests that the company makes, profits that come in, you have a stake in it.
So you have no issue if this was purely a private matter, had nothing to do with somebody in government?
Yes, it is simply because of the legal position. So whether you're looking at Article 78.3 or Article 98.2, they're very clear. And it's not just about Ghana. All jurisdictions are like that. The reasoning simply being that, corruption, we define it as the abuse of entrusted power for personal gain. You want to ensure that people don't get into power and use that power to grab for themselves, become greedy and take properties and things that belong to the state. Because once you do that, then you have state capture. They take over everything, they share it among themselves, the citizenry don't benefit. And so it's an intentional part of good governance that we say that don't put yourself in a position of conflict of interest. That means that we want to ensure that your influence, your power that you have gotten from the citizens does not allow you to take undue advantage of properties, assets, contracts, opportunities, to the disadvantage of other people who ought to have those opportunities.
We're going to chew more on this matter, but let's start from what has strengthened your resolve to back this matter. We have some graphics for you that put into context what has happened so far, and we're going to have you on your screen very soon. So this is what you have: SSNIT selling 60% stake in IT hotels. Why? Develop hotels into world-class standards. That's the justification SSNIT provided. Capital injection. They say that they don't have the capital to continue to inject it because some of the hotels are already bringing in so much debt, and so they needed capital injection. SSNIT at the moment does not have the kind of capital required to go into the hotels and also assist hotel in management. We know that already they've been involved in management contracts with Labadi Beach Hotel, and in 2021, Labadi Beach, from what we've been told, paid a dividend of almost 25 million cedis to SSNIT, which means that it made so much on that score. And so this has been some of their justifications. So as you can see on the screen, some of the hotels in Accra, 5-star hotel, that's Labadi Beach Hotel, 5-star hotel with 164 rooms. There's La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, so just around the same enclave. It's a 4-star hotel, 152 rooms. There is the Elmina Beach Resorts, 3-star, 100 rooms. There's a Ridge Royal in Cape Coast, 3-star, 79 rooms. There's also the Bizua Beach Resort, 3-star hotel with 62 rooms. And of course, there's a Trust Lodge Hotel at Takrade, purposely built hospitality block structure with 10 rooms. But they're selling only, they are offloading 60% of their stake in only 4 of the hotels. So this is what we have put together for you. So the sale of SSNIT's hotels, criteria for strategic investors, relevant credential in hotel industry, source of proof of funding, experience in owning hotels, experience in managing hotels, experience in development of real estate. These were some of the benchmarks that SSNIT, set up before the bidding process, got underway. And according to their own findings, Rock City Hotel came on top. Even though we are yet to be told the other bidders that submitted bid and were unsuccessful and the reasons behind it. And so these are some of the information we have. Sale of the SSNIT Hotel, timeline of sale, November 2, 2018, search for transaction advisor. In January 2029, 6 out of the 15 firms shortlisted and issued with RFPs. In February 2022, search for a strategic partner began. And in March 2022, 9 companies sent in their proposals. And out of the 9, 6 were successful for the final round of bidding, and out of the 6, Brand Champions Rock City Hotel emerged the most with the most suitable proposal to help turn things around. All 6 hotels are not in the same financial position, and the claim is that it should not be sold together. The proposal to sell 6 hotels has now been reduced to 4, so the process is still null and void. The proposed payment terms are different from what was agreed. So these are some of the facts we have. And again, Mr. Senen is in the studio with me. So your thinking is that because he's a cabinet minister, he had undue advantage.
Yeah.
And what question we've been trying to find is why SSNIT has put forth Rock City Hotel, but we don't even know the other bidders.
Yes, which is still fine, but from a purely ethical perspective, once you find that there is a problem, it has to be raised. Especially where they said it appears that Rock City is the one that has won the bid. This is the best product. Immediately raises red flags because then the owner on paper is somebody who's in government. That automatically comes into conflict of interest situations. And so the question is, are you sure he did not have undue advantage in terms of information that then fed into the proposal that was submitted? So strictly speaking, based on the constitutional provisions, he should not have been shortlisted. Ideally, even if he wanted to, he should have been conscious of the conflict of interest rules and then divested himself of it, allowed the entity to submit his bid without his name on any document at Registrar General or elsewhere. Then there would not have been this kind of...
Is this more grounded in law or in morality?
No. It's grounded in law. The Constitution says so. Constitution actually explicitly says that a public officer ought not to put themselves in a position of potential conflict of interest. Potential conflict of interest means that the obligation is on you to identify situations that might create a conflict, that you are making a decision between yourself, your personal interests, and the interests of the public. So it's a constitutional thing, it's legal. It's the reason why you have parliamentary rules that say, if you want to do something like that, better go and talk to the speaker.
You apply.
You apply.
You're given a
you are given form. Exactly.
We've told that he's not done so. And the reason he's not done so is because he's not directly involved in the running of the hotel.
No, he can't do that.
You don't accept that.
That cannot. That's an operational level thing. It is left to your whims and caprices. You decide whether to or not. You are saying so. There's no evidence to show so. The legal way to show that there's no connection between you and the operational actions is that you are not there. You are not there on paper.
So if you are a government operative and your government is in power, you shouldn't do business?
No. If you can do business, but if that business is going to approach government in a procurement process that would then require that we have to cross-check these things, then you have an issue.
Even when you have the financial and the competence to do it? You
see, in general, you're not supposed to do business. The reason being that we don't want a situation where there's distraction. There are other things you are doing that takes you away from focusing on your business. Because if you are doing your own business, you'll be focused on it all the time. And we expect that if there's a public officer and we are paying you and we're trying to pay you at a level that allows you to do well, you shouldn't have distractions because you have a private business. So these are standard issues across the world. It's not a Ghanaian, it's international best practice. So you are not supposed to be doing anything private. If you are doing it, we should not know. And it shouldn't be anything that takes you away substantively from the work that you have decided to do on behalf of the people. It is worse so when that business you are doing is now coming to government.
Right.
And saying that I want to go through a bidding process. Because it's assumed that as a public officer, you have networks, you have friends, you have influence. That gives you an advantage, an undue advantage from the rest of the people. So it's not a fair and level playing field when others also submit their bids. And so that's the thinking. It's not about Ghana law. This is international best practice.
In 2017, when President Akufo-Addo said that if you want to do business, go to the private sector. You can't be in my government and do business.
He knew what he was talking about.
And yet we have countless examples of people who are, what does it say about words and commitment to those words?
Well, there are two things. I find that many politicians are not well educated on the issues of conflict of interest and ethics. We've had people on TV platforms where we say, but you're in a conflict, and they don't seem to understand. Maybe you are the chairman of a board, and then it's your company that supplied the food for the get-together. And we are like, you can't do that. You should have gotten a neutral group. And he says, well, why not? Why can't my company supply the air conditioners?
Right.
And then when the bill comes, the plate is, let's say, 250 Ghana cedis, when we know these things about 50 Ghana somewhere. They don't see it. So there's a lack of education and understanding that as a public officer, you cannot just engage in business like any other person. You need to divulge yourself, make sure that if you have any interest, you remove yourself from it. Let others manage it for the period that you are in government, so that there is no potential conflict of interest where it's like people will look at you and say, did you take this decision in the best interest of Ghanaians or in the interest of yourself? Or did you and your friends, because they know your friends are cross-board in other government positions, have you colluded to make sure we are making you get it, so that then all of us will have a share in what you have got?
Exactly.
And after the day, we'll all come and collect from you, which is what everybody is concerned about.
SSNIT, in the statement, in the concluding part, said that they are here to, finalize this agreement. What do you expect? You expect that they will put the brakes, they will cancel it altogether, and reopen the bid for people who are not politically exposed to apply?
It is safer that they cancel it and start altogether. Because you see, unfortunately, SSNIT is not doing well. Pensioners are struggling. People are going to get their money and not, there are issues. Now, what that means is that all of us are at stake here. And once TUC gets on board, many more people are likely to say, this thing, the people in the helm of affairs as SSNIT are cooking something to undermine our future. I think it's in the best interest for them to slow down, restart that part of the
reverse everything that's been done.
In fact, let me be honest.
Automatically take Rock City out.
In fact, let me tell you something. The mode of fundraising is curious. First of all, why does a hotel like Labadi Beach Hotel need capital? They haven't explained.
Yeah, because the information we have, and this is backed by evidence, that even during COVID, Labadi Beach Hotel paid dividend of 25 million Ghana cedis.
Yes.
But then also, if you take a closer look at the operations of Labadi Beach Hotel, SSNIT has given it out on a management contract.
So why don't they use management contracts for all the other 4 hotels or 3 hotels? So the mode of money raising is also strange. Why don't you go to the capital markets, float shares, and get equity? Why a financial transaction that then you are saying you are coming out when you have a very profitable investment, long-term investment? It undermines the thinking that to run a social scheme like that, you want to do long-term investments that give you returns higher than inflation to make sure that you shore up what you can, the reserves you have to pay off to your clients. There's a bit of disconnect there. This particular financial strategy they've used, in terms of all the other options, it's questionable. That's why we're saying there should be a thorough investigation, because you can't understand why would you want to opt out 60% of a hotel that is doing very well? Why would you, based on the experience that management contracts has worked well, not do the same for the others? Even take the management of Labadi Beach and say, oh, can you handle 2 or 3 of the others because you've done so well? So there are more questions than answers. So the stopping in it is not so much about start again and then go and do 60% off. But start again, let's look at it. Is this really the best option?
But again, it brings into focus the management of SSNIT itself.
Yes, it does.
And then the danger for me and you is that we also will depend on them in some few years to come.
Absolutely.
And if my pension will be in trouble, then I have every right to speak now.
Honestly, I don't think people recognize how much of a crisis we have. You know, when the bond thing came up and we saw some of our elderly people picketing our Ministry of Finance, that's the likely trajectory we are all facing. That you get there and there's no money. Already the actual work that has been done by the ILO tells us that our system is in a crisis. So the question we should be asking is that, guys at the helm of affairs at SSNIT, what is going on? Because it doesn't seem as if you've got your act together. The thinking behind this particular transaction is not clear. It's even unusual for you to just bundle 6 different hotels, or let's say 4. I
said that we are selling them. That's telling us why we are selling them.
Exactly. And each hotel has a different...
Perhaps we want to move away from this business altogether.
Yes.
Tell us.
Yes, then we understand. And each of the hotels are in different categories. You have the 5-star, you have 4-star, you have 3-star. We're one day and they're different locations. It can't be that all of them, you just want to sell off 60%. Why? So the rationale behind it is not clear. The fact that it's tied to SSNIT, which is at the moment incapable of actually serving its clients, its pensioners, begins to raise red flags. And all of us should be very concerned. The management issue is the biggest question. Who is in the helm of affairs at SSNIT? How well are they managing? Don't forget, somebody was exited a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And when he was exited, the story that was going on was because he had stood against certain decisions.
And the allegation is that this hotel was actually one of them.
Well, there you have it.
But then the other matter is about the checks and balance at SSNIT. And if we are not getting the information we want, we expect that those who represent us on the board will push our interests. Now you have representation from at least the Trade Union Congress. And you are representing thousands, if not millions of workers. First was the actuarial studies that they claimed that they were not unaware of. They admitted on PM Express with Evans Benson they were unaware, and then later decided to ask questions. And then this hotel matter, it took the intervention of an MP to bring it to light. Yet TUC says that the excuse they are providing is that they have 4 Cs on the board, they are in the minority. So even if they had voted against it, it wouldn't have made any noise. Yet everybody kept quiet until this matter became a public issue.
I think we need to find out who are those actual representatives and why they didn't speak up, because this is a very relevant issue you've raised. If you're the minority but you are in a discussion, and of course, you have board agenda.
Exactly.
The agenda will tell you what we are going to discuss. Then there are the minutes. From the minutes, there are the action points. in any board meeting, you draw the conclusion at the end that, okay, this thing is going well, either for the people of the country or not. And to the extent that you disagree with a position that is taken by the majority, you are representing a group of people to whom you must say, look, there's an action being taken by our board, and we think that we need to raise it. In fact, you don't even need to make it formal. You can find informal ways of getting that information to the public domain to make sure that others act on it. So I align with the fact that TUC should not be satisfied. All of us should not be satisfied that they had reps, and yet those reps did not raise this issue. It took somebody else outside.
Of course.
And who are those reps? Why didn't they raise this issue? It's not sufficient to say they're in the minority.
So Mr. Senano, in the matter of SSNIT, you've said that you want the entire process abandoned, restarts, and let's have people from neutral backgrounds to apply. Politically exposed persons should be taken out. The member says that he is seeking to propose before Parliament a private member's motion to say that MPs who have businesses should not be allowed to do business in government. Should it stop there?
No.
The laws we have, are they enough? The conflict of interest law, are they enough? I've heard people say that, I mean, the law exists, but you can still work your way around it.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough. It's a reason why the COPO is so important, the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, because in there, all these issues, we're going to have it better spelled out. You know, when you have the thing in the Constitution, but you don't have a law, then the operational level, there are no clear clauses that say if you do this, then this is a sanction. It's the reason why you need a law that takes on board the constitutional elements and say, in this law, if you breach this, this is a sanction.
Right.
That then begins to serve as a deterrent. And so then people begin to think twice about taking certain actions. So clearly we do need a law. A PMB is a good place to start, but it should not just be on MPs. Because it's not only MPs who are appointed to positions of trust. And so you be leaving a window for other people. And you know, when political parties and governments want to play smart, they'll look at the law. If the law says, okay, it's the MPs who can't do this, then they'll look for all the other public officers who are not MPs. Or they'll intentionally appoint people who are not MPs to particular positions and make sure they make their deals there. So it's not sufficient if it looks at MPs. It should be something that is broad-based, looking at all politically exposed persons and saying that you can't get into such situations. Otherwise, we've seen a lot of things being sold, whether it's government houses.
Yeah, ministers buying their own bungalows. And the recent one being the fact that the EPA executive director has been moved from his home because the former interior minister decided to own the property.
It's amazing. I mean, sometimes you're wondering whether it is a Nigerian movie or
and that you are watching.
Nigerian friends won't like that idea. But anyway,
but my guess is Mr. Adam Senano. I mean, they had a news conference today to respond to so many issues on corruption and corruption-related issues, the SSNIT, the OSP, and other matters. Now,